Hi, my name is Wendy, missionary with Thailand, and I've been sharing on the Buddhist worldview and the differences between the Buddhist worldview and the Christian worldview. So we're moving on to teleology, and teleology has to do with what is the purpose of human life. And the Bible has a lot to say about the purpose of life. Actually, I think this is more like just kind of the purpose of everything, including life. So in the biblical canon, we see that we have a creator, and there is a design and purpose that he has for our world and for individuals. And we discover too in the Bible that there is the existence of a directive principle, God, who made all things for a reason and purpose. And so that's very different than the Buddhist worldview and what is taught in the Pali Canon. So what is taught in the Pali Canon is basically existence is suffering. And so the ultimate purpose of life is self-annihilation. So that's very different than our view of things. And it's something to keep in consideration when we share the gospel with Buddhist people. So I just want to read a couple things. So, concerning the purpose and meaning of life, from a Buddhist perspective, the end goal is self-annihilation. The existence is suffering, and the cessation of suffering has to do with the cessation of all existence. And the Dhamma, or the Pali Canon, is considered to be the path of practice of conduct, meditation, and understanding leading to the cessation of the fundamental suffering, dukkha, that underlies the human condition as lived in the round of rebirth. So the ultimate goal is the attainment of nirvana and the complete extinguishment of the self. As to ends or goals designed to fulfill a purpose devised by a mind that transcends nature, God. In Buddhism, there is no such mind. And teleology, from a Christian perspective, has to do with the design and purpose of the created world. And there is a teleological argument that supports intelligent design and thus a designer. And so our universe was designed by an intelligent being and has a purpose. But for the Buddhist, that purpose is very different than ours. So, and I want to say with all of this that what I'm sharing here from the Pali Canon is very different than the everyday folk Buddhist. Folk Buddhists in Thailand really don't, most folk Buddhists in Thailand don't have a very deep understanding of the Pali Canon, their holy scriptures. And so even if they heard the things that I was explaining, they probably find them confusing or not really be sure what I was talking about, because they have a different form of Buddhism that is kind of, like I said, it's folk Buddhism. So when you go to Thailand, you'll see temples everywhere, and you'll see spirit houses on almost every piece of property. So when you go to Bangkok and you go to the mall, there's these giant malls in Bangkok, you'll see this gigantic, beautiful, super showy, like place where they put the Jiao Ti Jiao Na, the spirit that is kind of the guardian of that piece of property. And so, and then you can go to like a little store in the middle of nowhere, mom and pop store or whatever, and they too will have an altar to the spirit that possesses that piece of land or property. So, that doesn't fit very well with what the Buddha taught about the spiritual reality of things. But that is something that, I think is part of who we are as human beings. We are just made to worship something. And so even though strict Buddhists who really adhere to the principles of the Buddhist teaching would not be praying to deities and would not have altars and give offerings or believe in a god or a god, even though they believe in spiritual beings. Most Thais do. So that's an interesting thing going on. And yeah. So, but even with that, the whole idea of the creator God, a creator God, is not part of the folk Buddhism ontology either. So these are all things to keep in consideration when we share the gospel with Buddhist people.